Welcome back to Sex, Love, and Relationships. We just saw John discuss the topic of self-belief with an amazing woman who has struggled with this in her own life, and she joins us now in the studio, and we're so honored to have Tina with us. Thank you for coming, Tina. Welcome.
It's good to be back.
So now I've heard a little bit about your story, and I gotta admit to you, I'm floored. You are a strong, strong woman. So now, if I can just press the rewind button really quickly. Your husband stepped out of the marriage.
Yes.
And had an affair with your best friend.
Yes.
So right there, that's a lot right there. That's your husband and your best friend. And then now you stayed, you worked through that, stayed with your husband, and now you're still best friends with your best friend?
Well,
the same best friend that, Tina, this is a lot now.
You know, everybody's shaking their head.
I know. And when you say it with your outside voice, I know it sounds strange and would not be something I would recommend. But you know, we're talking about belief systems today, and I believe that when God puts something in your heart, you follow that. You follow in obedience. You know, sometimes all you've got left is obedience. And so I stayed in my marriage because of obedience. You know, I shared in a previous interview that it was Pastor John in church that said, trust God. I had to trust God all the way in this because many decisions I was making were so out of the box. But yet I look back now, 20 years later, and I see that because of out of the box, so many people, through the work that we do with couples and relationships, have healed because it's not going to be the same for everyone. So I wouldn't recommend that people become best friends with maybe someone who's betrayed you, but I believe that God is a restorer. God does renew. And my best friend today, especially since my husband has passed away, is my anchor. She is everything for me. Because you knew them, you knew all of us. You know, we were part of your church. And because you knew them intimately, there was never once where I believed, because I knew my husband's heart and I knew my best friend's heart, that they ever intended to hurt me. You know, ever. And there was no intention, oh, let's hurt Tina. And I think my belief system in that is that God showed me.
So your belief system set you up.
It did.
Tell me about that. Talk to me about that.
Well, it really set me up because who would ever think that your best friend with your own husband could do this to you?
Yeah.
And then, for me, the belief system that set me up is that, we said it earlier, how could something this bad happen to good people? You know, Christian people, people in ministry, people that were dedicated to healing the brokenhearted.
Yeah.
That's what we were doing, you know. And so how could that happen to us? And I believe it is because I was broken inside. One of the things that I want people to know is that God made me accountable for my part. And my part in all of it was I wasn't nurturing during one of the hardest times my husband ever went through, during the death of his mom. My husband was one of the happiest people, you know, one of the most serving people, and best dad, best husband, a family man, and really believed in that. And the belief system that really, I believed I couldn't nurture. And I had to go back and look at what rocks were in my past that hardened my heart against nurturing. See, nurturing had brought pain before. Once I identified the pain it had brought before, I'd made a vow as a young lady that I would never nurture a man again, because I was never going to be hurt like that again. So as much as I loved my husband, that vow that I didn't even remember until the infidelity took place was that I would not nurture. So I threw him into the arms of my best friend.
And when you say threw him into the arms of your best friend, you said...
I literally did. I said, you need to emotionally take care of this because you know what it's like to have...
You told your best friend
I did.
to emotionally take care of your husband.
I said, take care of him.
Wow.
I said, I can't go there, and you've experienced the death of your parents, so you know what he's going through. I have no idea what he's going through, but I can't do this.
So rewind. If you were to go back to that moment, and you were who you are today, how would you have handled that?
Great question.
You know what? Again, I'll go through the R3. I would have revealed, first of all, what was in me. It's not that I was incapable of nurturing, because for 20 years later, we had the marriage that I never imagined possible. But why? Because I broke the vow. that I had made, and many of us, and if you want to look at vows and the belief system behind vows, it's always something that you say, I will never, or I will always. You know, I'll never be like my mom, I'll never be like my dad, or I will always protect myself, right? Those are vows, and those are deeper than promises. Those are real spiritual, they need to be broken. So when God showed me that, it was a real walk with God during that time. When God showed me that, I was able to repent to him, first of all, and then to my husband, and say, I am so sorry, you never had my heart. So when she was engaged in helping him, that's all it was. But you know, she'd offer him that cup of coffee, or she'd offer him, you know, while we were working in ministry, while we did our programs, you know, she'd say, Ron, do you need anything? Can I do anything for you? And I'd think, great, you know, this is good. And I was the type of person that literally, we worked in our home during the week, and I'd go get myself a cup of coffee upstairs. I would never dream to ask, do you want a cup of coffee while I go upstairs? Never dreamt of that. It wasn't in me. It wasn't in me because of the vow. See, vows are very strong. And so there is a real reveal there. Once the vow was broken,
Vows typically, like you said, come from a pain.
They come from pain.
From a hurt.
Yes.
So there's people watching that have gone through a major amount of hurt in their life. What should they be looking at that are potential landmines maybe?
Besides doing relationship Lifeline for 40 hours, besides that, I'll throw a plug
I know,
in
it's
there.
amazing how God uses that.
Yeah, and
He takes your mess and turns it into your message.
It does,
And
it does.
you're
And
doing a
today
great
I
job.
get to experience so many healings. But the first thing I would ask them to do is get by themselves and take out a piece of paper and begin to, what I call a storyboard, and begin to map out from as far back as you can remember all the pain that you've experienced, maybe the shortcomings, maybe the times you felt like a failure, or the times that, you know, you were humiliated. And that pain for me that I would never nurture again was because when I was very young, well, in my early 20s, a man died that I loved. And he died of cancer at 25. And I nurtured him through a year of cancer. And I said, never again will I give my heart like that to pain and then lose. So that vow was made there. So I ask people, just map out your story. Go the highs and the lows, and then start connecting the dots and see how you've brought that into your relationships. I brought the non-nurturing into my relationships. I did the same with my kids. I didn't nurture my kids. When they were babies, I did. But then once they could do their own thing, they did their own thing.
One of the things I hear overall with you is you're not a victim.
No. And that was one thing God made very clear at the time in my life, that I thought I had deserved the right to be a victim, you know. He made me look in that mirror straight on and said, what part did you play in this? Don't be a victim.
That's awesome.
Take responsibility for your part.
That's awesome. Changed you. You changed you, your belief system, and that allows you to do what you've done, which is take a mess and turn it into your message. Awesome.
Tina, you are incredible. You are such a strong woman, and I love hearing how God is using your testimony to bless so many people now. And I thank you. We all thank you for sharing your story. Coming up.